Hey folks, it's time for another one of those Star Trek videos that I didn't bother to write, therefore it won't be as good. That's right, it's not actually Trek Actually, but for this episode of Not Actually Trek Actually, I'm trying to continue my very gradual upward trend of at least trying to be a little bit above average on these videos that I half-ass. So for this half-ass Not Actually Trek Actually video, I did a bit of preparation, I did some writing, and we're gonna do something kind of fun. We're even gonna do something that is kinda sorta interactive in a very, very basic, why even bother kind of way. We're gonna have ourselves a good old-fashioned Star Trek trivia quiz. Please try to contain your excitement. I got the idea for this because remember a while back, I think last year, I did a video where I recorded myself answering a couple of Star Trek trivia quizzes just to see how many I would get right and sort of test my own Star Trek trivia knowledge. And I thought about doing that again, and I even went and picked out a Star Trek trivia quiz online that I hadn't taken before. And then I thought, why repeat myself? Why not do something similar to that, but come at it from the other end? So I wrote my own Star Trek trivia quiz, and you all in the audience are gonna take it. I'll ask you the questions, I'll give you the options, and at the end, I'll tell you the answers. You can figure out how you did, and if you want, you can share them with me and everybody else in the comments, or you don't have to. I don't really give a shit. No, I'm sorry, that sounded too hostile. I would love to know how you did on my quiz, if you feel like sharing. So, because we have recently been graced with the first teaser trailer for the upcoming Captain Picard's Star Trek series, which has been cleverly titled Star Trek Picard, the subject of this Trek Actually Trivia Quiz, the inaugural Trek Actually Trivia Quiz, I must say, is Captain Picard. So I have written 10 questions pertaining to Captain Picard. Some of them are super easy. A few of them I think are really, really difficult, but we will see how you do. So let's go to the Trek Actually Star Trek Trivia Quiz, Captain Picard edition. And actually, you know what? Since we're doing sort of a quiz show format here, I don't really have the resources to replicate one of those fancy lighting cues, but I can sure as hell do some dramatic quiz show music. So if you please, me in post-production. All right, that's more like it. Rest in peace, American version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. May flocks of angels with the face of Regis Philbin sing thee to thy rest. Now, question number 1. The first starship Picard ever commanded was the Stargazer. What class of ship was the Stargazer? Was it A, Constitution, B, Constellation, C, Crossfield, or D, Danube? Question 2. Picard was forced to abandon the Stargazer following a violent confrontation with a Ferengi vessel. What is the name given to that confrontation? A, Battle of Maxia, B, Battle of Procyon 5, C, Battle of Zahea, or D, Battle of Chintaka? Question 3. In the memorable Season 4 episode Family, Picard visits his older brother Robert. What is the name of Robert's wife? A, Marie, B, Yvette, C, Gladys, or D, Adele? Number 4. What year did Picard graduate from Starfleet Academy? A, 2227, B, 2327, C, 2333, or D, 2364? Question 5. While taking his vacation on RISA in Season 3's Captain's Holiday, Picard becomes involved in a treasure hunt for a mysterious artifact from the future. What is that artifact called? A, Horgon, B, Tox Utat, C, Vorgon, or D, Drolac. Question number 6. Picard picks a bad time to return to the Enterprise to get his saddle in the 6th season episode Starship Mine. During which season of TNG is Picard's love of horseback riding first established? A. Season 1. B. Season 2. C. Season 5. Or D. Season 6. Question 7. In The Inner Light, Picard encounters a space probe that causes him to experience an entire lifetime on a long-dead planet in the space of a few minutes. What is the name of the planet that launched the probe? A. Resic. B. Cayman. C. Sojef. Or D. Catan. Question 8. In the future depicted in TNG's final episode, All Good Things, Picard suffers from which neurological disorder? A. Bendai syndrome. B. Irumodic syndrome. C. Protomorphosis syndrome. Or D. Schalaft's syndrome. Question 9. With how many captains or commanders from other Star Trek series, and I'm talking about lead characters only here, not just any character who happens to hold the rank of captain or the rank of commander, but characters who were the top billed lead characters in their series. That's what I'm talking about when I say captains or commanders from other Star Trek series. With how many of those has Picard appeared on screen to date? A. 1. B. 2. C. 3. Or D. 4. And finally, question 10, and I'll tell you right now, this is the toughest question, if only because it is the only question that draws exclusively from non-canonical sources for the answer. So I'll just put that out there. This has never been firmly established on any of the TV shows or movies, but according to several Star Trek novels, including Reunion and Requiem, who was Picard's first officer when he commanded the Stargazer? A. Jack Crusher. B. Vigo. C. Gilad Ben Zoma. Or D. Idun Asmund. Well, those are the 10 questions for the Captain Picard edition of the Trek Actually Star Trek Trivia Quiz. Hopefully those of you who answered didn't succumb to the temptation to look up the answers beforehand. You were just going by whatever knowledge you happened to have. You didn't look on your phone or your computer to try and figure out what the answer was, because if you did cheat, of course, as always, you were only cheating yourself. Now, the answers to the questions. Let's find out how you did. Question 1 was, what class of ship was the Stargazer? And the correct answer to that question is B, Constellation class. You recognize probably those other classes as well. Those are all classes that have been established in Star Trek. The original Enterprise, the classic Trek Enterprise, Captain Kirk's Enterprise, is Constitution class. The USS Discovery from Star Trek Discovery is Crossfield class, and Danube class is what the official designation of the class of runabouts is. All those runabouts that they have in Deep Space Nine, those are officially considered Danube-class vessels. So, there you go. Question 2 was, what is the name of the battle where Picard lost the Stargazer? And as was established in the very important Season 1 episode of TNG called The Battle, that was A, the Battle of Maxia. B was Battle of Procyon 5. That was a battle that was related to the temporal Cold War in Enterprise. C was the Battle of Zahea, and Zahea was the planet nearby the big battle at the end of Season 2 of Star Trek Discovery, where the Enterprise and some of their allies were fighting Section 31. That was, you could sort of informally call that the Battle of Zahea. And D was the Battle of Chintaka. There were actually 2 battles of Chintaka, the first battle and the second battle of Chintaka, that were important engagements as a part of the Dominion War on Deep Space Nine. Question 3 was, what is the name of Robert Picard's wife? The correct answer to that question is A, Marie, as established, as I said in the original question, in the episode Family. Her name is Marie. If the other names sound familiar to you, that's because B, Yvette, is the name of Jean-Luc Picard's mother. C, Gladys. If that is familiar to you, you may be a true Star Trek trivia superfan because Gladys is the name of Patrick Stewart's mother. And D, Adele. Captain Picard had an aunt, Adele, who was referenced a couple of times in the show. So that's why that name might sound familiar to you. Number 4, what year did Captain Picard graduate from Starfleet Academy? The correct answer to that one is B, 2327. Now, many of you may have been, if you knew that, you probably knew it because Picard has said, he's referred to himself in episodes before as a member of the Class of 27. And you just sort of did the math and thought, okay, well, it's the 24th century. That would be 23 something or other, so 2327. 2227 was something that I just threw in there to maybe throw some of you off. That was 100 years off, but it's still Class of 27. C was the year 2333, which is the year that Picard takes command of the Stargazer. And 2364 is a very significant year in the life of Picard because that is the year he first takes command of the Enterprise D. Question 5, what future artifact is Picard searching for in the episode Captain's Holiday? The correct answer to that one is B, the Tox Utat. A, the Horgon, of course, is the little statuette that you carry around with you on RISA if you seek Jamaharon. C, Vorgon, the aliens who were actually searching for the Tox Utat, the aliens from the future, they were called Vorgons. And D, Drolak. Drolak was the subject of a little statue that Vosh brought back from the Gamma Quadrant and was auctioning off at Quark's in the episode of Deep Space Nine that she appears in alongside Q, which is from Deep Space Nine's first season and called Q-less. That's what Drolak is. Question 6. During which season of TNG is Picard's love of horseback riding first established? The episode where he forgets his saddle, Starship Mine, is from season 6, but his love of horseback riding is first mentioned in season 2, B, and is specifically in the episode Pen Pals. Question 7. What is the name of the planet that launched the probe that caused Picard to live an entire alternate life in the inner light? And the correct answer there is D, Catan. That's the name of the planet. A, Resik, was the name of the village on planet Catan where Picard lived. B, Cayman was Picard's name during his life on Catan. And C, Sojev has nothing to do with the inner light at all. Sojev was the name of the main male character of the Baku in the movie Star Trek Insurrection, the character who was played by Daniel Hugh Kelly, who, if you are a fellow 80s baby like I am and you watched a lot of TV when you were growing up, you may remember Daniel Hugh Kelly as McCormick from Hardcastle and McCormick. Question 8. In the future depicted in TNG's final episode, All Good Things, Picard suffers from which neurological disorder? The answer there is B, Irumodic syndrome. The other syndromes have some significance to Star Trek, of course. A, Bendai syndrome, is what Sarek is suffering from when he appears in The Next Generation. C, Protomorphosis syndrome, is the name that Dr. Crusher proposes giving to the condition that caused the crew to de-evolve in the episode Genesis from season 7. She suggested naming it after Lieutenant Barclay, who was the first one to exhibit symptoms, and she suggested calling it Barclay's Protomorphosis syndrome. And D, there is Schlaft's syndrome. Now, Picard is said to have actually had that, but not in All Good Things, in Star Trek Nemesis. That is the disorder that his clone Shinzon references to prove that they are indeed of the same flesh, that they are actually clone, that he is actually a clone of Picard because he had the same genetic disorder that Picard had as a child. Question 9. With how many captains or commanders from other Star Trek series, lead characters only, has Picard appeared on screen to date? The correct answer there is C, 3. And they are, and if you got this right, you probably know this, unless you were just guessing. Cisco, Picard appears on screen with Cisco in the pilot episode of Deep Space Nine, Emissary. He appears on screen with Kirk, of course, in Star Trek Generations, and he appears on screen with Captain Janeway. Janeway is talking to him on the computer monitor through subspace, giving him a message in Star Trek Nemesis. So there you go. Cisco, Kirk, and Janeway are the three captains or commanders from other Star Trek shows that Picard has appeared with on screen. And finally, question 10, the non-canonical one. But I bet a lot of you still got this, because most of you folks are Star Trek nerds. I know this. I know a lot of people. A lot of you probably didn't get it, but a lot of you got it. Question 10. Who was Picard's first officer when he commanded the Stargazer, according to the novels, Reunion and Requiem specifically? The correct answer there is C, Gilad Ben Zoma. And the other options on that question, Jack Crusher, Vigo, and Idun Asmund, were all Stargazer crew members. And Vigo and Crusher were established as being on the Stargazer's crew in the battle, and were also referred to in Star Trek episodes after that, especially Crusher. I don't know if Vigo was ever referred to again, but Jack Crusher was referred to several times, of course, as Beverly's husband and Wesley's father. He was on the Stargazer. And Idun Asmund was also a character established as a part of Stargazer's crew in the novel Reunion. So those are all Stargazer crew members. Now, some of you might have said Crusher because you just assumed that was a safe bet, and also because in the I think it's in the script, the shooting script for either Encounter at Farpoint or The Battle, and I think it was Encounter at Farpoint. There is some unused story or unused draft of a script where Jack Crusher is referred to as having been Picard's first officer on the Stargazer. So the status of that is kind of hazy because it's never been firmly established in canon on screen for a show or a movie who Picard's first officer on the Stargazer was and whether it was Jack or not. So that's why with that question I specifically said according to the novels. So how'd you do? Did you get all 10 right? Did you get 9 right? If I were thinking ahead, I really would have come up with some kind of ranking system, but I didn't because, again, not actually Trek Actually. I'm barely making an effort here. I wrote these questions and I just read them, and that's the video. That's it. That's all it's going to be. So, how'd you do? Share with me in the comments if you feel like it, if you want to share how you did and which ones you got wrong, which ones you got right. I'm sure everybody would love to talk about it. It's always fun to swap trivia quizzes with fellow fans of something that you love. So let me know how you did, and if you thought this was fun, and if you would like me to do another one of these at some point in the future, maybe on a different theme. This was Picard. We could do another one about a particular show or a particular character or whatever. I'm open to suggestions for future quiz editions of Not Actually Trek Actually, if this is something you thought was worth doing. I want to remind you, as I always do at the end of these videos, if you like my Star Trek stuff, you should be listening to the Star Trek themed comedy podcast that I co-host along with the hilarious and brilliant Jason Harding. It's called The Ensign's Log, and you can find it through the links in the description of this video. You can listen to it on the website or subscribe to it via RSS through your favorite podcast app. I really think you'll dig it if you like my Star Trek stuff that I do just solo here on YouTube. I also want to remind you that the poll for the next edition, the July edition, not the June edition, but the July edition of the proper scripted Trek Actually shows is up on my Patreon page right now. You can go vote in that if you are a patron of this channel and help to choose what July's proper scripted, Steve is really making an effort episode of Trek Actually is going to be. And if you just generally speaking like my work and want to help me keep doing it and help to support the channel and help me continue making these videos, you can go to patreon.com/Steve Shives and become a supporter of this channel for as little as $1 a month. And if you pledge $5 a month or more, I will shout your name out at the end of a future Trek Actually video, just as a little way of saying thank you. Hope you enjoyed the quiz, and I'll see you next time.